Testing.
Hello.
All right. Hello, everyone. Thanks so much for coming out today. I'm Emily from Lemonade, and we just want to welcome you to our Lemonade Women Who Inspire panel. And welcome to our offices. And we're so excited for this panel today because we're going to talk and touch upon some vulnerabilities and turning those and cultivating into possibilities. So this is our inaugural panel. So we're so excited to join this and experience this with you today. And it's something so natural and in the vein of Lemonade. So this is a platform that you're all aware of that unites through discovery, possibilities, and really encourages that diversity of content across verticals. So we're so excited to have you join today and have our panelists here. So as a quick intro, I want to welcome our panelists that we have here. We have Tenny, brand creator and brand founder of Monday Born. Give her a little shout out. We have Stella, who's a designer and founder of Path Unbound. We have Claire Sun, who's the global head of marketing at Lemonade and former head of creator marketplace at TikTok. And then we have Eileen, who's a creator and founder of Lavender. Awesome. So now, obviously, we're already so excited. And now after you saw who we have on the panel, are you like even more excited to get this panel started? Awesome. So I also, too, now that we know who we have here, I want to give you each a moment to introduce yourselves and tell us a little bit, tell our audience here a little bit more about yourself. So we'll kick it over to you, Tenny.
Hey, so my content journey started, well, my video content journey started in about 2012. Before that, I had a blog that, I wrote about beauty topics on. So I started on YouTube, long form video, and, started creating a following from there and naturally shifted to Instagram and then TikTok and Lemonade as well. So it's been nice discovering all the different platforms and kind of adjusting what you share, how you share on each respective platform. It's been a journey of, like, you kind of shared a little bit about vulnerability too. It really started with strictly beauty and skincare and makeup, things like that, and then kind of snowballed into sharing a lot more personal life things. So I think that's kind of where we're at now, is a combination of both. We're not just sharing all the prettiness, but we're also sharing a lot of the personal stuff as well. So it's been a fun journey. And then in 2020, I started Monday Born, right alongside COVID. It's been now 4 years that we've had our skincare brand, and it has just been, we'll talk a little bit more about going from creator to founder, but it's a whole new journey that I think I was definitely ready for after 8 years of doing content. So that has been just a different joy. It's been the most rewarding experience of my life.
Hi, my name is Stella Guan. I am the co-founder and CEO of a design school called Path Unbound. I founded my school 4 years ago during the pandemic, and the goal of my school really is to help aspiring designers find the right fit in the market. And then we also are a very boutique school that really cares about our student, and we don't treat our students like a number like a lot of the bigger schools do. I'm a designer myself. I've been a designer for about 10 plus years. I had a long corporate career before I decided to strike out on my own during the pandemic, and it has been a very humbling learning journey that I've really, learned so much about entrepreneurship, about how to make things work without funding, bootstrapping, and that kind of stuff. So I can definitely talk a little bit about my journey from corporate to entrepreneurship and what I've really learned in the past couple of years, and really happy to be here.
Awesome. Hi, everyone. I'm Claire Sun. So I currently worked in Lemonade as head of global marketing. Prior to that, I was in TikTok for 6 years. I led the creator monetization initiatives there. And prior to that, I was with Meta, like back then was still Facebook. Yeah. Fun fact about me, I'm not sure if any of you have participated in the Lemonade Box Challenge. Anyone? Yay! I saw some hands. Yeah. So I'm the producer behind that. Yeah. So do let me know, if you have any like products you like, let me know, and then let's just like improve that. Yeah. So I'm super excited to hear, to really meet our friendly lemonade community. Yeah. And then, very exciting to have this panel here. Yeah.
Hi, everyone. My name's Eileen. So my brand is Lavender, and it started out as a YouTube channel about 10 years ago. And the reason I started it was after I graduated college, I was really lost, didn't know what to do with life, tried out internships, and I just felt like the office corporate culture wasn't for me, and I didn't know what I wanted to do. And so my channel started out as me sharing about just me being in my 20s, figuring out how to find your purpose, how to find your career, how to, all these things that we go through. But at the time, people weren't talking about these topics on YouTube. Everyone was just like beauty, fashion, lifestyle, but I wanted to go deeper. I wanted to talk about how to overcome your fears and figure out your dream life. And so anyway, my content became this like brand concept of life is an art, make it your masterpiece, because I believe everyone has the power to design and shape their life however they want, right? And so that was the journey. And then the YouTube was the first thing. And then I expanded to a podcast. And of course, I did like the Instagram and TikTok. And I do have Lemonade as well. And I started my shop about, I think it was 2018. So I started creating journals, like basically this first product was called the Artist of Life Workbook. And that's basically like a guided journal to plan your most successful year, from like discovering yourself to like working on self-love to planning all your goals for your dream life and how to actually execute those goals on like a monthly basis. But that's how the shop started. And then I just started adding like other types of journals, and like we have a card deck. So it's all like stationary around wellness and personal growth.
Amazing. I love that. And everybody touched upon like your path and journey changes a little bit. And then I love, Elaine, how you spoke about just like wanting to share a little bit more and go deeper. And I think that's just so native to the Lemonade platform. And also too, with that, we're so excited to just kind of learn about your passions each a little bit more, and maybe like how your path changed or unexpected moments that came up that kind of maybe altered that path or passion journey.
Well, to be really honest with you, I was perfectly happy doing content. People would ask me all the time, when are you going to have your own makeup brand? Because I was doing makeup tutorials mostly, and I wasn't that passionate about makeup specifically. And the product space just seemed a little daunting to me, but it was really when I met my partners for Monday Born in 2019 that I really saw that this could be my future, because our visions aligned. When you have a partner, when you have a partnership especially, you really want to make sure you choose the right people and you have the same vision, same values. And I just remember when we had that first meeting, it was 4 hours long, and I left that meeting going like, wow, they get it, and we're exactly on the same page. So that's kind of where things shifted for me a little bit, my passion. If you want to talk about passion way before, I was telling them before in the green room that I got my master's degree in communication management with a focus on brand strategy and marketing. I thought I was going corporate. I thought I was going to go do either consulting or go to an ad agency. And that's just not what happened. I wanted more creativity in my day-to-day.
Yeah, definitely. It's interesting because you talked about, you wanting to go corporate at first, but it just didn't pan out that way. I feel like it's very similar to a lot of us as well, because we can't really predict what's going to happen. So for me, I'm an immigrant to the U.S. I'm originally from China. So for me, the most feasible way is to get a corporate job, get sponsored. Actually, that didn't really pan out that way. I actually had to get my own, residency. So after that, I figured, I've been in corporate for about 10 plus years. It didn't feel like I was growing anymore. I wasn't learning a whole lot. And I started to see the same pattern emerge over and over again. And I thought, okay, I have to stop. I have to go out and do something, but I didn't know what to do. So actually, the turning point for me was I know I love connecting with people. So I started to go to networking events and go to conferences, and I pitched myself to speak at conferences. And there I met a very inspiring keynote speaker who I very much look up to. And I I talked to him after. I said, "How do you speak so well?" And he said, "Well, I teach." And then I got inspired then and there, and I got a teaching job on the side. And that's how I started to see the pain points, in the market. And that's how I got inspired to start my own school, my own brand. So I feel like sometimes we just have to do something. We probably won't know which one, where you'll land yet, but there's a starting point, and then you just have to kind of keep listening, keep asking questions. So yeah, that's how it worked for me.
Amazing. I feel it's like very similar learnings along the way. So I'm right now in marketing, digital product management, but I started like somewhere like very different. So I had my first job after university as engineer in an investment bank. So I think back then I do not know like what was my passion, but I took that 1 year in the bank working as an engineer, figure out something that's not my passion. So in my daytime, of course I did my job well, but then in the evening I started to browse through like all the job descriptions from different companies. I even tried to interview as in investment role for an international airport. Yeah, so very very like different like explorations directions. And I was quite fortunate to get connected to Facebook, and as they are like they were expanding in APAC region, and then looking for people in Singapore. Yeah. So I did like taught myself all the ways, all the stuff around like digital marketing, how advertising work, what's CPM, CPI, like all this like jargons, and then just like figured out it as a good opportunity for me to like switch career into the digital marketing direction. Yeah, and then I started to feel, okay, this is something I enjoy much more than every day facing like a computer or multiple screens, doing the coding work. Yeah, and that I think that's how it's just like works out. So I think one learning I had is also allow yourself to not finding that passion is not a big deal. But just like also keep looking. If that's not something what you enjoy the most, just like, I mean, work on it, but keep looking. Just don't settle for that.
I relate to what you said. A lot of that journey is figuring out what you don't like. I had to go through a lot of trial and error. And then I also was on the journey of, okay, what is my passion? What am I meant to do? And I actually started out doing music because I knew that I love singing, I love playing piano and dancing. And so I thought I wanted to be like a musician. And I kind of walked that path for a couple years. But I realized like I like music, but I don't like the career of a musician where you have to tour and perform in front of people. And so I think again, it's one of those things you might think you're passionate about it, and then you should try it. Like anything you're curious about, you should explore. Because if you never explore it, you won't know. It'll always be a what if. So like I explored it, and then I realized, okay, there are parts of this that I don't like. Like I like to stay at home. I like to, right? So my that's why I turned to YouTube, because it fits more of my personality, but it still gives me so much creativity and freedom to do what I want to do on my terms. And so that it ended up being YouTube that gave me like the most fulfilling career.
And I think what's so refreshing to hear is how each of you spoke upon that, paths and journeys change. And as long as you're staying true to yourself and trying and experimenting, and, your path may change multiple times, and that's okay. So I think, thank you so much for just sharing that level of depth and vulnerability there. And I think I'm not sure about you, but I would love to learn each of you kind of a little bit deeper along your paths, whether it be entrepreneurial or corporate. And so with that, I think on that entrepreneurial path, I posed that question to Stella, Tenny, and Elaine. What do you think are the strongest characteristics of an entrepreneur?
I think someone who is willing to be, first of all, patient. You may have a perfect plan put together and expect and be prepared that nothing is really going to go according to plan. Obviously, do your best to be prepared, but there's so many hurdles that you're going to encounter that you're encountering for the very first time. So being open to those failures, and they say all the time that failure teaches you so much more than successes do. There are so many things that I've been through in the last 4 years with my brand that I'm like, I cringe a little bit, but at the same time I'm like, no, that taught me a lot about what to do better going forward. So really embrace the whole process and be prepared to be prepared for even a humbling experience too. You know what I mean? It's that this has been the most humbling. Sometimes I'm like, yeah, this is gonna get us like whatever, this and that, and then I'm like, oh, nobody really responded well to that one. And then something that you have no way you didn't expect to hit will hit. So just be open and don't get discouraged. Be persistent.
Love that.
So for me, I think there are several things. One is I will always remember this one thing that my mom told me. So she used to work for this company, and they're all from the same. Yeah, well, the founder is from the same town as a lot of other entrepreneurs, and there's this saying in their hometown. It says, "I'd rather sleep on the floor for a few years than not be my own boss." So I think that's one thing that I always remember is the drive that you have to stick it out. One, never give up, because I feel like 90% of the time, if something fails, it's because that person didn't really stick it to the end. So that's one thing: the determination, willingness to sacrifice a lot of other things, a lot of your other comforts for your future success. The other thing is, I think an entrepreneur has to be resourceful, because there's nothing given to you and you're only paid for your performance. So you're not going to get paid because you show up, right? So this is another thing that I think a lot of us are really, it's very scary, because if nothing shows, if our performance is not as good as we had hoped for, then we have no safety cushion. So we have to figure out, okay, how do we make this work? How do we not end up on the streets while we still, work on our ventures? So I think these two things are really the defining characteristics of an entrepreneur, in my opinion. Yeah.
Okay. I think similar to what you guys said, the most important thing is you have to just be willing to figure things out, because you're not going to know how to do anything. Everything's going to feel new. So you have to have that like growth mindset. Like, even if I have no idea how this works, I can learn, or I can like find someone to ask, or no matter what, you're going to figure it out. You don't let like an obstacle stop you. And so it's a lot of like courage and like getting over your own self-doubt as well.
That. And with your brands, I would assume obviously it's so aspirational to have, and I think sounds quite glamorous to have a brand, but I know that there's a lot of hard work and probably sweat and equity in there. So what would you say, like maybe one of the hardest days or worst day that you experience in starting your business or running your business? And I think we'll start with Elaine and then work our way this way.
Yeah, I think the hardest days are when you're like the results don't meet your expectations, right? Kind of like you said, there are times where things flop. Yeah, I think things flop and you get humbled really hard. Like, oh wow, like nobody like showed up, or nobody like cared about this launch, or and it's about yeah. Sometimes it just hurts your ego, but you have, instead of taking it personally, I think the smarter thing to do as an entrepreneur is to just take it as like data. Like, okay, it's not about, it has nothing to do with me. It's just like, let's take this as feedback and be like, okay, well, what went wrong and what can we learn from this? And it's like, instead of letting it hurt your ego, just look at it like a problem solving situation.
For me, I think the hardest days are when you see other brands' success. You feel like you're not there or not nearly at that level yet. And then if, you're in your circle, in your inner circle, whether it's your family, your friends, they sort of doubt you, there's like negative self-talk. I think that's when you really start to question yourself. Why am I so far behind compared to other people? But then I realized there are a lot of things we don't see behind the scenes, and we have to sort of humble ourselves to really learn instead of feeling bad about ourselves. And then not, I guess, like really have to tune out that noise in the background. I think that's really the hardest thing to do, because so many times I think I doubt myself every couple of days, right? That, this is not going to work out. But ultimately, you need to kind of step back and then see, okay, I'm actually going to treat this as a project. It's not mine. It's probably, like I would regard myself as a consultant, to another startup. Then you remove the emotional element, and then perhaps you'll see things clearly. So
I'm going to try that. I really like that. I think it's also about really confronting your comforts and recognizing that you have to change so many of those things in order to be a good leader. For example, after what was it, like 3.75 years, I finally made my first official hire. So, I mean, operationally, like our fulfillment center sends out the products and we have a customer service team as well. But as far as marketing and content creation, I was at the helm for these last 3 years. And that is not easy doing on your own. But I have such an issue like letting go. So I had to confront that and look at myself and say, look, yes, I know you like things a particular way, but if you don't bring more people onto the team, you're not going to grow. That's just a reality. There's only so much one person can carry for so long. So that was an opportunity for me to, like I said, confront a comfort of mine, which is really working on my own and really liking things a certain way, to expanding, my perspective and learning to be working on a team and being a team leader. So really get used to that, because if being an entrepreneur were easy, everybody would be doing it. So these are the things that are really, really difficult.
And with those difficult situations, I would assume when you do have a real positive, it's real exciting. And so are there moments that you weren't expecting but have been like defining moments and one of your highlights of being an entrepreneur?
I would say actually it's recently. So recently I had a realization that that we admit that we've been growing our brand the wrong way, and it's a very humbling experience because we're a design school and we were trying to grow it like a Silicon Valley startup, competing with the big guys, and all the while we sort of stopped listening to our customers. This is the most important thing, because you need to know how your customers, how other people, your audience perceive your brand instead of what you want it to be. We wanted to be the big guys so badly that we forgot about that. So we now sort of started to shift our focus to the other way around. We want our brand to be sort of like personal brand led by myself and my co-founder. We're both very seasoned designers, and most of our audience, most of our customers came because of us, because they read an article that we wrote that felt so relatable. They watched a video, and we forgot about that. We were trying to be corporate. So yeah, that was a very humbling lesson that we learned recently. So yeah.
For me, it's actually a collection of wins. So every time I get a message from someone, either a DM or a comment or even an email, talking about how Monday Born changed their life, changed their skin. My husband said my skin looks incredible. He hasn't said that in years. All these little things, my rosacea, my acne, I screenshot those and I keep them in a folder for the days where I feel so low and wondering why I'm even doing this. And I go back to those and read them, because I think you're so caught up in the day to day that sometimes you forget. And this may differ from your approach, depending on what your business is. But the whole reason I started this is, one, I have such a passion for skincare, but also my community has brought me this far all these years. And this was really for them. They are so involved in so many processes that we have. So, seeing them talk that way about my products, I'm just like, it's like filling up my gas tank and like giving me that extra boost to keep going.
I do the same exact thing. I have a folder called Inspiration where it's all screenshots of just like people saying, "Oh, this product changed my life," and like just the nice, I guess, comments or reviews that I've gotten along the way. Another big win is like when people that I looked up to started, like, I noticed, oh, they use my product, they use my workbook, and that it's really exciting when people you look up to also use what you created. Like, it's crazy.
Absolutely. And I love that. And I feel like the looking up to and like having those also ties like mentorship also is another aspect that we'll like touch upon today. Because I know it's probably been, I don't know for you, but for me, mentorship and having a mentor has made such a difference in my career path and journey within that corporate world. And I know Claire too, being in that corporate space, kind of wanted to dive in and learn a little bit more about any kind of obstacles like you've experienced in that corporate side, or how you kind of overcome those in that corporate setting.
Yeah, I think a lot of traits are very similar to like what you guys discussed. I think especially in marketing, I'm not sure how many people are in marketing related industry. Okay, I saw some hands. Yeah, so this industry moves just like so fast, and there are not a lot of best practice or like SOP that you can follow. And even if you know you manage to find some best practices or like SOP to follow, by following that, you're only able to deliver like a mediocre type of job. But we all want to do, beat expectation. Yeah. So I think in order to do that, it's always, how you jump out of it, because following a best practice is easy. Jumping out of it might be hard. So I think a lot of work here in Lemonade we are doing is also the same. I mean, like for our team, like everyone have tons of stuff on their plate. They don't have to run such an event. But then this is like I think what we hear from our community, and we want to really test out to see more interactions, especially in real life experience. How would that turn out to be? So we have our like awesome team just put up this together, and we are very eager to also learn feedback and keep iterating. So I think that's like the challenges we have, like everything moves so fast and we can have all the options to choose to do or not to do. But I think the reward is that you really be able to test it out and see some of the impacts here. So I guess like everyone's enjoying it, right?
Are you guys enjoying it? Woo, thank goodness.
Awesome.
And also, Claire, it was really interesting to hear how your path started in investment banking and took some turns, and now you ended in you're leading marketing. Like, why marketing? What was that pivotal moment or that aspect that drew you to marketing and keeps you staying and being a leader within it?
Yeah, I feel like this whole industry moves like really fast. I mean, back then, 2012, like when I graduated, there were YouTube, there were Facebook, there were Instagram, there wasn't TikTok, there wasn't Musically, and then this whole industry just like moves really really fast. And I think it's also, people say marketing it's an art plus science. So I think it's definitely satisfy the more data driven part of me and more engineering part of me, but then that also gives a lot of room for all kinds of creativity. Especially right now, creativity is like beyond just like one format. There's like long form video, short form video, and there's like us like image and text, which is also friendly for introvert for more like thoughtful sharings as well. Yeah, so I think it's a all type of creativity, and I'm also looking forward to in the future, right? There will be marketing in VR, in AR, so all type of like format. Yeah, so I think that's like definitely a good industry to be in. It's much better than at least for me, much better than facing 2 or 3 screens and do the coding work. Yeah.
No, thank you so much. It was fascinating to learn a little bit more about like the marketing side and the corporate side. And also a question for each of our panelists here today, because you all had mentioned, or people looking up to, or having some influence. I guess also too, one of our partners here today is ADP List, who's around mentorship. And I know mentorship has played a part in my life, and I would just like to know if there's like a mentor in your world, or whether you're a mentor or mentee, just like what that piece of mentorship and networking has made and how that's affected your position right now.
This hasn't been a huge part of my life until I met my partners for my brand. So quickly, I'll explain. Monday Born, our umbrella company is Buble. They're a beauty incubator, and they're very tech forward. They are a husband and wife team, Jordan and Hee-kyung. And Jordan is a serial entrepreneur. He is a living brain. He is so smart, and he has so many qualities and so many strengths that I don't, and vice versa. This is why we've partnered. And I learned so much from him. I mean, numbers, statistics, and data analysis. He's so strong in that. And I've never been a numbers person. I did terribly in math in school. My papers were always great, but I was always bad. And it was always intimidating for me. But now, being in a partnership with him, it's less intimidating because I learn something every time I talk to him, and I don't see it as this big daunting monster anymore that I have to be afraid of and not learn about. So that's been kind of the mentor element in my life.
Yeah, it's amazing because I feel like all of our paths to mentorship, it's going to be slightly different. Like, for example, you have someone close to you in your business that is a mentor. For myself, I think I intentionally seek out mentors sort of when we have a specific problem that we want input in. So I utilize mentorship platforms myself, and we schedule phone calls, video calls with growth experts who can look at our products from an unbiased standpoint and offer us different perspectives, because I do believe that we're all imperfect human beings, right? Like, we can't know everything. So it is unrealistic to expect one person to tell you everything, to coach you all the time. So instead of one person, we've been relying on a network of people who are very professional, knowledgeable in the field, that we are so thankful for. Like, within, sometimes within a 30-minute call, we get the knowledge that we wouldn't have had, for years. So it's kind of like that experience that I feel like, okay, for me at least, mentorship comes in the form of sort of crowdsourcing.
What platform is that?
Yeah.
What platform is that you're using?
It's sort of similar to ADP List, but it's for entrepreneurs. It's called Growth Mentor. It started by an entrepreneur. I think now he's based in Cyprus. He's Greek, but originally he was based in the US as well. It's pretty well done, because you can also be a mentor yourself, if you have specific knowledge, and then however many sessions you do, you can get like free sessions in exchange, as a mentee. So I feel like it's sort of a reciprocal process. I love it. Yeah.
That's interesting. I should try that. I think in my journey, I had less of like the traditional mentor, but I had a lot of friends that were also creators or entrepreneurs that I could lean on. And then also, like, my boyfriend, he's also an entrepreneur. And we have different skill sets. And so I think the fact that to have someone close to you be able to like bounce ideas off of and to teach each other has been a big part of my journey. Like, I wouldn't have learned so much in business if it weren't for these people around me.
For me, I think one learning I want to share, it's like what I've just learned over years, was be more and more comfortable to reach out for help. Because when I was like in my first year or early stage of my career, like people always talk about the mentor concept, and everybody wanted to have one. But then I was just like too afraid to reach out, because I don't think I bring any value on the table. And when I'm not bringing value on the table, I just felt like so hard, to make that ask. Yeah. But gradually right now, I'm more and more comfortable with that, because I realize that, even for, director level or senior manager level in the company, like, everybody really appreciate more conversations within like a corporate, because for example, someone at director level, he or she may not be knowing all the like day to day like that often, and anyone in this company can actually share their own perspective of what their observation that could be help for the business. Yeah, so I think those are also good insights for like senior people as well. Yeah, so I think that's like one thing. If I'm gonna travel back to when I was like 22 years old, that was one thing that I want to tell like myself back then, that just like be brave to reach out to someone. There's definitely something you can offer to the table like anytime.
No, Claire, I love that. Having that vulnerability to ask. And I think that also is a great bridge to our next topic, because I think there's also a stigma around like personal well-being or asking for help. And I know all of you beautifully so well manage and juggle so much, truly multifaceted. And so I think a question I have, does everybody handle work-life balance well? Is anybody a professional in that? If so, I'd love to set up some workshop time, a one-on-one with you. But would just love to hear how you kind of manage your personal and professional self and your personal well-being.
I used to be really bad at this. I remember there was a time, maybe like 7 years ago or so, I had all these sponsorships, like these partnerships that I needed to crank out, and the deadlines were all approaching. And my agent was like, "Are you sure you don't want me to ask for an extension? Have a little time." And I told her, "Don't underestimate what a machine I am." And I was like, "Why are you so proud of that?" Like, that is not, so that was how I went forth. I was like, I work 7 days a week. And even when I started my brand, I was, and it is such a commitment, but I got myself used to having weekends. That was my entry into a little more mental wellness and self-care. Was, you're going to have a weekend. Even if that means it's just one day of the weekend, you're going to take that day, you're not going to work at all, and you're going to enjoy time with your family, with your dogs, Yeah. That was at least, like I said, the gateway into prioritizing mental wellness a little bit more. That was an easy enough thing, is at least take one, hopefully 2 days of the weekend. So that's a basic thing I've done for myself for balance.
I can relate to that so much. I do work 7 days a week still, but but I think up until recently, I think I was in a very bad sort of, you know, state of mind because I feel guilty hanging out or just going to an event or just taking days off because, you know, like we all know as entrepreneurs, we don't get paid unless we work and achieve results, right? And then recently, I also started this, you know, personal growth journey where I really look inward to see where I need to really see clearly, you know, like a lot of issues that I haven't ignored in the past, a lot of boundaries I haven't established. So I feel like these kind of things really I should have done way earlier, but I'm glad that I'm doing it now. So now I have a rule for myself that every week I have to at least go out once or twice, attend an event, meet people, sort of force myself. Actually, because you know, a lot of entrepreneurs, I don't know if it's you're the same way, but I'm very type A. So I have to put things in my on my calendar that says I must do this today, right? Otherwise, I will just not do it. So I literally put events there. I carve out a time. So this is sort of my self care routine: is to get it into my calendar to force myself to take care of myself. Yeah.
For me, I think one thing I remember clearly was when I worked in Facebook, like I think 10 years ago. Sheryl Sandberg had a sharing back then. She said there's not really like a lot of work and life balance, but there's a lot of work and life integration. Like how you see your work part and your personal life can actually integrate and have that synergy. So I think once after I started my career in marketing, and that's something I kind of like really enjoying. And then I figured out that integration part, you know, it's just like started to manifest. So for example, this noon I had lunch with a friend, and she also run a agency. So we discussed, you know, how we can probably do something really cool for Lemonade. So I think that's like something. It's like a work and life like integration. And I feel in this industry, I'm fortunate to hang out with, you know, people, work with people that I love, that people speak like same language. And then during work, there's trust developed, and there's also friendship developed.
Yeah, for me, I'm also similar in how I started. The first few years of being a content creator, I just felt like I was working so many hours, like 12, 16-hour days. Like so I was overworked, but I think at that stage you kind of felt like you had to push. And then now I'm at a stage where I have like obviously found more balance, and the rules that help with my work life balance are number one, like set good boundaries around like this is the time I'm going to stop work, or I'm going to take this weekend for myself. I'm going to have a self-care day. And then the second thing is just to have these like practices that you know make you feel good and fill your cup. So for example, like going outside, taking a walk, like making sure you do that every day or every other day, just because you need a break outside of your work environment. Even if it's just if you work at your desk, like just go to another room or go. I think going outside is the best, right? It just recharges you. But having those things, like for me, I love meditation, journaling, and going for walks. But what everyone's different. But whatever it is for you that helps you like recenter yourself and reset, like make sure you do those consistently.
I love that. Very actionable too, as well. Yeah. And we're honestly approaching towards the end of our panel. And so I want to pose a question for each of our panelists. If you could give only one piece of advice to our Lemonade community here today and online, what would that be, that piece of advice to help them on their, you know, their path and journey, or whether it be corporate, creator, or entrepreneurial?
I would say that we're living in such a time now where this is very much the norm. This is no longer an anomaly. So there is a lot of saturation, a lot of competition out there. So I would say have a lot of grace and have a lot of compassion for yourself, because you may find yourself discouraged or disappointed at different times. I still do. Don't let that deter you from your path. Just have compassion for yourself.
Absolutely. My piece of advice is I recently have been doing this on my own as well, is to really take the time to sit down and write down the top three, let's say the top three strengths that you have, that not only you see it for yourself, but think about what your friends have been telling you. Because I feel like there's power in how other people perceive you that you don't know. And in turn, in terms of our professional life, we can turn that into something that we could, one, market ourselves, and second, we could use that superpower to help people. Because I feel like we're so, often stuck in our own head and also try to, accomplish so many things. We forget to step back and then recenter ourselves and really define how people, I guess, like what we can really contribute to society. Because if you look at successful people, right, they have a lot of talent, but they're not actually marketing on all of them. They're only focusing on one or two things. And once we find that out, especially as a content creator, people will start to see your value. So yeah.
Love that. I think my advice is also take some time to spend and really start to understand yourself. Because like, we had a lot of sharings. I mean, and out there are a lot of like YouTube or podcasts like sharing a lot of like other people's stories, but nobody's you. Like everybody's different, and you deserve to find a way that how you want to be treated. Yeah, and also where what energizes you. So I think those stuffs are really it's different by different people. Um, like Stella mentioned, the finding your strengths. I think 2 years ago, I also took a good test called Strengths Finder by a research institute called Gallup, and I think that one really helps also understand my strengths or talent, like in a very it's like genetic way, yeah. And also, I think something the other test is like called five love language. So that's also a good one in terms of understanding what do you want in a relationship. Yeah. I feel those are good tools to help you understand yourself. And once you're more self-aware, then you're more confident in terms of what you want to pursue.
I think these were all great. I would agree with everyone. I guess the only thing I would add is to just believe in yourself. Like work on that relationship you have with yourself. If you have like criticism or self-doubt, like work on letting that voice go, or at least making the positive voice louder than the negative voice. Because if you're your inner critic, you're the only one holding yourself back. So number one is that believe in yourself. And then secondly, just keep going, because you never know when it's going to hit for you. There's like this analogy of like the iceberg where like like the tip is like it looks really small, but under it is like a big giant thing. So you don't know when like things are going to turn around for you and when things are gonna pop off. So just keep going, keep at it no matter what.
Amazing. Thank you so much. That's so insightful. And I feel like there's all actionable things to take away. And again, I just want to thank all of you and our panelists for joining us today. I hope we can give a round of applause for these 4 incredible and inspiring women. Amazing. And then also a huge thank you to all of our Lemonade community for coming out today. We're so excited to spend this afternoon with you. So a big round of applause to all of you for coming. And then a big round of applause for all of our Lemonade community joining us virtually on TikTok and Instagram and Zoom. Yeah. Awesome. So that really concludes our panel. And so from here, we have some refreshments, we have swag. Make sure you get your picture with Limo in the backdrop. And we'll also have time if you have, individual questions for our panelists, have some little networking moment amongst each other. And again, thank you so much for being part of our Lemonade Women Who Inspire panel.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.